In the heart of New York City, where the lights never dim and the sounds of ambition echo through every street, lived a man named Daniel Carter. Daniel was not an ordinary man. He was the type of person people looked at with admiration, envy, and sometimes silent resentment. He was at Billionaire. His company had spread across multiple continents. His name was in the magazines, and his pictures were on the covers of business journals. Expensive cars lined up in his garage. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royce. His penthouse overlooked the skyline of Manhattan, and he owned vacation homes in places most people only dreamed of visiting. By all external measures, Daniel had everything a human being could desire. But there was one thing missing. He did not realize it yet, but the hole in his heart was growing larger every day. Daniel grew up in a middle-class family in Ohio. His father, Michael Carter, was a hard-working mechanic who spent hours repairing cars in a small garage. His mother, Anna, was a school teacher known for her patience and warmth. Daniel had a younger sister, Emily, who adored him, and a younger brother, James, who looked up to him like a hero. They were not rich, but they were happy. Dinner at the family table was filled with laughter, stories, and love. Michael would often tell Daniel, the son, you may not always have money in your pocket, but if you have your family, you are already the richest man alive. At that time, Daniel would nod politely but never truly understood the depth of those words. His eyes were set on something else, success. From his teenage years, Daniel had one burning desire. He wanted to be rich. He wanted to escape the small town, the small house, and the ordinary life. He studied day and night, got into one of the best universities in the country, and soon started his own tech company. At first, things were tough, but Daniel had a mind sharper than most, and he had the ability to outwork everyone around him. Within a decade, his company grew into a giant. By the age of 35, Daniel was a billionaire. He was living the dream. Private jets, champagne parties, exotic holidays. But as his bank balance grew, the distance between him and his family also grew. He rarely called his parent. He skipped his sister's wedding because of a business meeting. He wasn't there when his brother needed advice for his career. Whenever his mother tried to reach out, Daniel would say, "Mom, I'm busy. You don't understand how hard I'm working." And his father would quietly whisper on the other side of the phone, "Son, don't forget, we won't be here forever." But Daniel brushed it off. After all, he thought there would always be time later. One winter morning, Daniel received a call that shattered his world. His mother had passed away in her sleep. He stood frozen in his glass-walled office, overlooking the skyline of Manhattan. The city below continued to hustle and buzz, but for Daniel, everything went silent. For the first time in his life, no amount of money, no business deal, no luxury car could solve the problem. His mother was gone. Forever. He booked his private jet and flew back to Ohio, but it was too late. The house that once echoed with warmth and laughter now felt empty. His father sat in the corner, broken. His sister Emily looked at him with tears, silently questioning why he hadn't been around more often. His brother James didn't even make eye contact. At the funeral, Daniel stood beside his mother's coffin and whispered, "Mom, I made it. I became the man you always believed I could be, but I wasn't here for you. I wasn't here when you needed me. And now, no matter how much money I have, I can't bring you back." Tears rolled down his face, something he hadn't allowed himself to do for years. After the funeral, Daniel returned to New York. He sat in his $1 million penthouse, surrounded by luxury, yet he felt poorer than ever. The cars didn't matter. The money didn't matter. The recognition didn't matter. What good was all this wealth if the person he wanted to share it with was gone? It was then that his father's words came back to him. "Son, if you have your family, you are already the richest man alive." But now his mother was gone, and no amount of billions could bring her back. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel found himself haunted by memories. He remembered the nights his mother stayed awake just to help him study. He remembered how she prayed for him before every exam. He remembered her smile, her laughter, her unconditional love, and he realized he had traded all of that for board meetings, profit margins, and corporate expansions. He had gained the world but lost what was truly priceless. Dear listener, if you're hearing this story today, let Daniel's pain be a lesson for you. You can chase money, you can chase cars, houses, and fame, and maybe you will achieve it all. But remember this truth: If your mother is gone, no wealth can bring her back. If your father is gone, no luxury can replace his presence. If your brother or sister leaves this world, no amount of gold can fill that empty chair at the dinner table. Family is the one treasure that once lost cannot be bought back. This was just the beginning of Daniel's journey. What happens next? How does he change? How does he rebuild his life and learn to value family over fortune? The days after his mother's funeral were some of the hardest Daniel had ever faced. For the first time in his life, he had no motivation to get out of bed. The stock market updates, business emails, and meetings that once fueled him now felt meaningless. He looked around his penthouse, walls decorated with art worth millions, furniture imported from Europe, a view that most people could only dream of. Yet, the silence inside those walls was deafening. Every night, when the city below buzzed with life, Daniel felt like the loneliest man in the world. You won, let's have it. One evening, Daniel poured himself a glass of wine and sat by the window. He opened an old box that he had brought back from his parents' house. Inside were family photos. His mother's smile, his father holding his little hand, Emily and James laughing in the backyard. He stared at those pictures for hours, tears streaming down his face. For the first time, he asked himself a question he had never dared to face before. What is the point of all this wealth if I can't share it with the people I love? He remembered how his mother used to pack lunch for him even when they barely had money for groceries. She would go without new clothes just so Daniel could have new books. And yet, when she was alive, he was too busy chasing the world to sit beside her and simply say, "Hi, Q, Mom. I love you." Now it was too late. Daniel began visiting his father, Michael, more often. The man who once stood strong and proud now looked older, weaker, and lonelier. One evening, as they sat on the porch of the old family house, Daniel finally broke his silence. Dad," he whispered. "I'm sorry. I wasn't here. I wasn't the son I should have been. I thought I was doing everything for you and Mom, to make you proud. But I realize now, I left you behind." His father looked at him with tired but kind eyes. "Son," Michael said softly, "I always knew you wanted to do great things, and you did. But greatness means nothing if you can't sit at the dinner table with the people who love you. Money is important, yes, but love, respect, and time with family, those are things money can never buy." Daniel felt those words pierce his heart. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. His mind kept replaying all the moments he had missed. The time Emily had called him, begging him to attend her wedding. He had sent her an expensive car as a gift instead. The time James had called, asking for advice about college. Daniel had told him he was too busy and hung up. The countless times his mother had said, "Just come visit us, even for a weekend," and he had promised, "A next time, Mom, I swear." But a next time never came. He had traded priceless memories for empty achievements. Daniel's story is not unique. How many of us in the pursuit of success forget the people who matter most? We tell ourselves, "I'm working hard for my family." But what use is all that hard work if, in the process, we lose our family? We think there will always be more time. But life does not wait. Your parents will not live forever. Your siblings will not always be around. Your children will grow up while you're away in meetings. Time lost is time gone forever. A few months later, Daniel's company won a major international award. He was invited to a glamorous ceremony in Los Angeles. The hall was filled with celebrities, business tycoons, and media cameras. When his name was called, the crowd erupted in applause. Daniel walked to the stage, took the golden trophy in his hands, and stood in front of thousands. But as the lights shone on him, he didn't feel pride. He felt emptiness. The first thought that came to his mind was, he wished Mom was here. He imagined her smile, her tears of joy. He imagined her clapping the loudest. But she wasn't there, and she would never be there again. He stood silently for a few seconds before speaking into the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I am honored. But I need to tell you something real. Success is nothing without family. I stand here with this trophy, but I'd give it all away for one more hug from my mother. If you have your parents alive, go hug them tonight. If you have siblings, call them." Because money can buy almost anything, but it cannot buy back the people you lose. The hall went silent. Some people even had tears in their eyes. From that day, Daniel began to live differently. He started visiting his father every week. He reconnected with his sister Emily and spent time with her children, becoming the uncle he had never been. He called his brother James and apologized for every missed moment. He also changed his company culture. Instead of glorifying late nights and endless work, he encouraged his employees to spend time with their families. He would often tell them, "Don't make my mistake. Don't miss birthdays, don't miss dinners, don't miss life." Slowly, Daniel began to feel a kind of peace he had never known before. Dear listener, Daniel's realization carries a powerful lesson for all of us. You may be chasing your career, your dreams, your ambitions, and that is good. But do not let success blind you to the treasures already around you. Because here is the truth. $1 billion cannot buy back your mother's love once she's gone. A fleet of luxury cars cannot replace your father's guidance. A mansion cannot fill the silence left by a sibling who is no longer there. Success cannot hug you when you're lonely. Family can. Do not wait until it is too late. Months had passed since Daniel's awakening. The man who wants to find himself by numbers on a screen and trophies in a cabinet now measured his life differently. Not by wealth, not by fame, but by the time he invested in people who mattered. Daniel began small. Every Sunday, he would drive back to Ohio and spend the day with his father. They would sit on the porch, drink coffee, and talk about life. Sometimes they didn't talk at all. They just sat together, watching the sunset, feeling the comfort of each other's presence. His father's eyes, once heavy with loneliness, began to shine again. Next, Daniel reached out to his sister Emily. At first, she was hesitant. She remembered the years of disappointment, the birthdays missed, the wedding he skipped. But Daniel was patient. He showed up at her house, played with her kids, helped her husband with repairs, and slowly rebuilt the bridge he had once burned. Emily hugged him one evening and said through tears, "I thought I lost my brother forever, but you're here now, and that's all that matters." Then came his brother James. The young man who had once idolized Daniel now carried scars of resentment. But Daniel didn't give up. He apologized not once, but again and again. He offered mentorship not just in career, but in life. Eventually, James forgave him. They laughed again. They argued like brothers again. They shared late-night talks about dreams and fears. For the first time in decades, Daniel felt whole. But Daniel's transformation didn't stop at his family. He knew his story could help others. He started giving talks at universities, conferences, and even community centers. But unlike other billionaires who bragged about their net worth, Daniel spoke about something deeper. Standing in front of thousands, he would say, "Success without family is the greatest failure. I know because I lived it. I chased money and ignored the very people who gave me life. And when they were gone, all my billions couldn't bring them back. Don't make my mistake. Hug your parents. Spend time with your children. Call your siblings, because when you're lying on your deathbed, you won't ask for your bank balance. You'll ask, 'Where's my family?'" His words echoed across auditoriums. People cried. Students called their parents immediately after his speeches. Workers left conferences and went home early to hug their children. Daniel had turned his pain into purpose. One day, a young man approached Daniel after a seminar. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Mr. Carter, I was about to leave for another job in a different state. But after hearing you, I decided to stay near my parents. Thank you for saving my family." Daniel smiled and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Hi, son, money will come and go. Jobs will come and go. But your parents, they're once in a lifetime. Never forget that." That night, Daniel wrote in his journal, "The greatest investment is not in stocks, real estate, or companies. The greatest investment is in love, in time, in family." Years later, Daniel was invited to give a speech at one of the biggest leadership conferences in America. Thousands of people from across the world attended. He stood on the stage, looked at the sea of faces, and began, "Ladies and gentlemen, I was once the man you wanted to become. A billionaire. A man with cars, houses, and fame. But I was also the loneliest man alive. Because when my mother passed away, I realized that money can't bring back the people you love. When my father grew old, I realized no luxury can replace his wisdom. When I saw my sister's tears, I realized no business deal could heal a broken relationship." Remember this: if your mother is alive, you are richer than any billionaire. If your father is alive, you carry a treasure greater than gold. If you have a brother or sister to fight with, laugh with, or lean on, you are blessed beyond measure. If you have children running to hug you, you are the wealthiest person alive. The entire hall was silent. Some people wiped their eyes. Others nodded, deeply moved. Daniel paused, then said his final words. Money can buy houses, but it can't build a home. Money can buy medicine, but it can't give you health. Money can buy luxury, but it can't buy love. And money can buy almost everything except family. Cherish them while you can, because once they're gone, all the riches in the world can't bring them back. The audience stood up in thunderous applause. But for Daniel, the true victory was not the applause. It was the knowledge that his pain had prevented someone else's pain. That night, Daniel sat quietly in his hotel room. He looked at a photo of his mother he always carried in his wallet. "Mom," he whispered, "I couldn't give you the time you deserved, but I promise your love will keep guiding me, and I will never let anyone forget that family is life's greatest gift." He smiled, wiped away a tear, and closed his eyes with peace in his heart. Because Daniel Carter, once a man blinded by fortune, had finally discovered the true meaning of wealth: family. So, dear listener, remember this story whenever life tempts you to prioritize work over loved ones. Success is good. Ambition is necessary. But family is irreplaceable. Don't miss the chance to sit at the dinner table with your parents. Don't skip your child's birthday for a meeting. Don't delay that phone call to your sibling. Because one day when you look back, it won't be the money that defines your life. It will be the memories. Choose family. Cherish family. Protect family, because money can buy almost everything, but it will never ever buy them